So there's a lot of talent standing up here next to me. I'm in awe. There's got to be something in the water in Glen Rock, right? And of course,
Sorry,
Joe, who I was talking to, and I've only chatted with Joe for a moment, but I said to myself, and Joe, who's been a teacher for several years when these guys come in, must have said to himself, I've got gold in my hands.
You're right.
With these gentlemen. And I think he's the one who molded it. And even though you can't take anything away from these guys, the teacher was such an inspiration and pushed them to be the professionals as they are today. It's absolutely awesome. The director here, Barry Rubinow, is an interesting character in that he's not a musician. He's a football player.
Well, I did play in high school, but I wasn't very good.
And we do know, I grew up in Ridgewood, so I know the tension that goes on between the sports people over here and the music people over there, right? So the fact that a sports person who put this together, I think.
I was such a bad football player that John and Doug, who were the two in my grade, who I was best friends with of this group, used to go to the football games just to laugh at me. That's how bad I was.
So what is it that inspired you to put a movie like this together?
Well, like I said, I knew John and Doug really well. I knew all these guys, and Doug and I had worked on some projects together, and we were looking for a new project, and he brought up the idea of making a film about these guys, and it sounded like a good idea to me, and that's how it got started. And then I said, well, let's, because you see it now and it's finished and it looks great, and you think it's like an inevitable thing, but at the beginning I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know if they'd want to do it. I didn't want to, once they have film guys come into your house and whatever. I didn't know what their reaction would be. So I said, well, let's take it one step at a time. We'll interview them first and see how that goes, and then take it from there. And their interviews were all, as you saw, incredible. Yeah, they're all fluent. Besides in speaking, and also it's unbelievable. No, I mean their interviews were just incredible. And then we shot at the school, interviewed the principal, and shot the town, and then and then the idea came up for, we knew they had to play together, because they don't all usually play together. Some of them do, but and so we arranged that concert at the high school, and that was unbelievable. It sold out in like 2 hours, and which shocked me. And I didn't know. I mean, I've been out in LA forever, and I didn't know that the strength of the community. That was something I found out about, and it's really been great. Obviously not as strong in Ridgewood.
Well, what's interesting for this festival is that this was a movie everybody wanted to put together right away. It made so much sense coming from this neighborhood. And then along came this other movie that's been downstairs, occupying many of the theaters tonight. And I think that did draw a little bit more away from stuff. But I'm glad you're here. And are there any questions?
But these people enjoyed ours more than they
I would like to. Does anybody have any questions at all from anybody, from the director or from any of our musicians here? Back there?
Will this be shown eventually on PBS?
I am working on it. Right now, I'm still going to festivals. I have another festival lined up in LA in the end of June, and there's others, but so the idea is to get more notoriety through the festivals, and then approach the distributors, and so it'll happen eventually. I don't know where or how, but somehow. If not, I'll sell it on DVD. You'll be able to get a copy. You want to say something, Joe?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank you for launching my film career.
It's the third act.
Some of the questions that have come in other Q&As were, did I do my own stunt work in the movie? I did. Tom Cruise and I have.
Oh, wow, very good. Very good. So what's else is in your body of work? Was this a real turn to things you've done?
No, I mainly worked in documentaries, mainly as an editor. This is the first feature documentary that I've directed. I've edited feature documentaries and I've directed shorter films, but this was my first major film like this, so it really came along nicely.
What I liked about it too, there's a lot of different themes in here. The molding of the Glen Rock people along, the town people along with the individuals, I think really just adds so much to the story. How often does it happen, I think, with the same spot like this? And then, of course, the friendships that last forever. Something
Some of these guys.
Well, the town was part of it. It really was, and it was the time too. Remember, so many things didn't exist to occupy kids' time
Yes.
like they do now, and it's kind of unfortunate because, we didn't have. I mean, what? There was like 12 stations on TV. There was no internet. There were no cell phones. So we had to entertain ourselves. So if we weren't playing ball, we were playing music, and that's kind of what we did. And the interesting part to me was that, like, aside from Jimmy's family and Doug, my family, there was no musicians. My family was all artists, no musicians. So when we were growing up at the same time, it was just like a thing. Like, what are you doing after school? No, come over to my house. We'll play duets, or we'll play something. We always had bands. It was always, certain amount, 4 to 7 guys, and we'd all come down to my house, and we'd play after school, and on the weekends. And then we would all, have a teacher, and we'd be taking lessons, and it was also part of the time, when you think about it, and also the music that we were being influenced by were all being played by actual people that you could see playing, rather than computer-driven thing, and Pro Tools and everything else. There was, real people playing this stuff, and all the music on the radio was all played by music. You could hear, there's a drum set, there's a saxophone solo, there's a guitar solo, piano play. Now, there's this ear candy that you can do with a computer that, and most of the dance records and stuff now, the dance cuts that you hear on the radio are all just, computer driven. There aren't real guys playing on most of it. And so it's hard to get inspired to play a specific instrument if you don't hear it or see it all the time, So that was also part of it, I thought.
I think Frank said it all.
Thank you.
No, if we get into the actual film, the wonderful film that Barry here has orchestrated and put together, we're just basically players, and I think he did a wonderful job. But I feel that when we got together on December 2nd, was it 2021?
2021.
That was 50 years that we were all, the last one of us was on that stage. To get all of us together with our band director and get him up there, Joe Sielski, it just redefines the fact that this is a love story. And so many people that have seen the film come up to me and they say, I saw the documentary and it's a love story. And I don't know how you folks feel about that, but when we got together, for that show, we were just looking at each other saying, this is the same stage we all made our way, and attributed to Joe. And there he is with us. And you're also not only a film career, but I think you could be a stand-up comic too. So, as far as what Frank said with music, we were exposed to so many different types of music, and we didn't have video games. We had 12, I had 7 channels, you had 12?
I don't know.
You know,
My memory's not so great.
maybe one kid had a remote control, you know, we basically were, it was either sports or it was art and music and drama, and it was a part of our lives, it was important to us. And I wish we could get back to that a little more as far as, you know.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
no, by all means.
So John, how did you end up going the classical way or the stand-up
Well,
way?
you know, it was always a lot of fun playing with these guys in the band room, and you know, it was like Lee said in the movie, hey, we're going to Mr. Sielski's place, you know, we're going to Sielski's room, we've got a band, it's going to be great to hang out. But I wasn't really, you know, I do the Broadway shows and we do our concerts and it was fun and everything. But for me, the playing of the bass with the bow led me to classical music, and there were other orchestras. There was an orchestra called the Bergen Youth Orchestra that was run out of Englewood, and so I found myself at the age of 14 playing Mahler symphonies, and you know, of course, Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and all that, and it just it filled my heart and soul up with a voracious appetite to go deeper and deeper into it. And fortunately, you know, there was this youth orchestra there. The orchestra at Glen Rock was pretty good too, and then there was the All State and All Eastern orchestras and stuff. So I was able to find this world of music, and it's still there for me. It's still, you know, learning every day, every week. I'm, you know, devouring like music from 4 centuries of composers all the time, every week. And it's a joy to have gotten to this point, and the nurturing that we got with hanging out with one another, and with Joe Sielski, the camaraderie gave you the foundation and the belief that, you know, you could go on and pursue your dreams.
What I enjoyed about your particular section, I don't know if you said it or somebody else did, you went in a whole different direction. You never lost these guys.
Yeah.
But that's the music bonded you all
Yeah.
together, which is a big part of it.
Well, I also, you know, I do crossover, you know, I mean, I played with a lot of these guys, too,
Sure.
Springsteen and all that, because we do things like Rainforest benefits at Carnegie, where, you know, we'll have Elton John and Dionne Warwick and all these, you know, name-dropping things, and we've done some stuff with Paul McCartney.
It's not name dropping, it's
Well,
reality,
yeah,
it's,
well,
you know,
that's it.
yeah.
So you're there, you know, and every now and then, you know, right before the lockdown, I played 3 concerts with the Eagles in the Garden, and it was unbelievable. And then, you know, a week later, the Garden was closed. But so I get to cross over every now and then.
And Metallica?
You know. Yeah.
Young Frankenstein.
Any other questions out there? Yes?
This is for Mr. Sielski. Did you also lead the marching band, and were these gentlemen also part of the marching band?
Yes, they were, and yes, I did.
And what instruments did they play if it wasn't a traditional marching band instrument?
Well, Frank played drums.
I played drums.
Right?
Jimmy played trumpet rather
Jimmy
than
played
guitar.
trumpet.
Ah.
He was versatile.
I played clarinet or alto sax, yeah.
So, John wasn't in the marching band.
Don't
Because-
Hard to march with the bass.
Because of what he did to the Sousa.
That's
Group.
a Woody Allen.
And of course, Jeff was my lead trumpet player.
Can I add something about Mr. Sielski's marching band? You know, unlike many schools, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but a lot of the schools did the same halftime every single week, home, away. But with Mr. Sielski, if we had 8 games, we did 4 different halftimes, meaning we would do one for home, then away, and then he'd change it. So we were constantly learning and learning new, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I don't think many band directors had that. going on. They stuck with one. I believe so, because I talked to my friends and that's what they tell me. We did one halftime the whole season. So, music in different formations. What was it, 8 to
5.
8 to 5.
8 to 5.
8 steps to every 5-yard line. The lines weren't there for the football team, they were there for the band. 8 steps to 5.
Okay, we gained more yardage than them.
The game is only there for the halftime show.
And Joe, I gotta say that the band was a more interesting group of people to watch than the football players that were on the field. The years between 70 and 74 were not the greatest football years for Glen Rock High School.
No, but
So
in
the
their
band was-
defense, they have had some good years there.
Yes, it's
Outdid John
amazing.
Fine and some of the
Amazing
coaches that they
years.
had there, really had some good teams.
But you guys are the highlight.
We have one more there in the back? Two, okay,
I
back there.
have 2 more. This lady would like to know when you're cutting the record.
Cutting the record?
Go to the recording studio, the band.
You can't get out of the recording.
We gotta get union scale for that.
No, I thought about a soundtrack album too. If someone wants to chip in for all the music rights, be happy to talk to you about that. That's
But
all.
you're thinking about releasing the concert.
Well,
Yeah, no, there'll probably be,
Can we go
there's gonna be
correct
2
some things?
DVDs. This film that you just saw, and then I'm gonna have a DVD of just the concert, which will actually be longer, it's like 2 hours, and maybe even better film than this.
How do we find out?
My website, bandittogethermovie.com,
Ah, perfect.
and yeah, or I have cards actually, I can give you a card, you can email me.
And there was one
Chip
other
has a
question.
question.
I just wish this film gets a wider distribution, whether it's on PBS or wherever. If only to tell other schools who are cutting out arts programs and bands, and a lot of schools do that, they think it's like a frill or something like that, and they'll get rid of the band or they'll get rid of all the arts.
Yeah.
How vital this is, because I can remember, I was a student like 50 years ago, I can remember enjoying the band in the auditorium, going into Neil Hefty's arrangement of Cute, you know, and we thought that was the hippest thing in the world, that our kids sounded like the Basie Band. And that was not at every school, and that memory is still there. And I'm like, that should be in all schools. But the film, if you show this to more people, maybe it'll inspire kids, but also inspire some schools, this is worth keeping.
Yeah.
Is that Chip?
Yeah,
Chip
Chip
to
I
Five.
recognize you with the mask.
behind the mask.
Chip Defa, very accomplished writer and producer.
I love
very
the film,
talented
I
guy.
love the film.
Well, thank you all for coming. I hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. I know you enjoyed it.
I did.